Right, what's going on? Hope you guys are doing well. What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? I am here with a video because I was watching some videos, yeah, and I was watching videos on quitting social media and how people have decided to leave the app. I recently did a TikTok where I was talking to my phone when you think about it, even though I do have followers. I was talking about how I feel as though social media is putting us in a place where we aren't processing information correctly and putting us in a place where we're almost just information overload. Now, this is nothing new. I've frequently indulged in podcasts like Cal Newport's or the Digital Minimalism podcast. And, Cal Newport had this really big TED Talk, which went viral, ironically, on digital minimalism and why it's so important to scale back. And as he would advocate, remove yourself completely from the social media apps. So we're talking Instagram, we're talking TikTok, we're talking Facebook, Snapchat, LinkedIn for some people. Listen, that LinkedIn, if you know, you know. You go on that LinkedIn and your old colleague is now the CEO of the company and you ain't even moved yet. So, with that being said, having listened to a lot of this advice and going back and forth with my friends for years, I have a couple of friends that I've spoken about leaving social media with for years, and all of a sudden you do it for a period and then you just find yourself creeping back like, you know what, I'm just gonna give it another go. I know how to manage it now that I've been away from it. And before you know it, you're right back to where you started, where you're doom scrolling, you're using it to fill every void of boredom. You're using it to fill some sort of uh this kind of pseudo but what would you call it? Like a parasocial relationship with maybe an influencer, parasocial relationship with someone that's actually in your tangible life, but you find it quicker and easier to catch up with them by viewing their story or by viewing having by throwing memes at each other in the DMs and laughing and kind of like they've sent you a funny DM of a meme. So now you have to respond with laughter, even though maybe you're in a very serious situation and maybe you're at work and you can't actually laugh or you actually don't find it funny, but because they've sent it to you and it's going to show that you've seen it, you've got to respond and laugh and it's just silly. And it got to the point where I was on this app and I was like, you know what? What utility am I actually getting from this app? All I'm doing is spending my time like scrolling, and not only that, it is the meme culture. I find the meme culture just really like stupid. If I'm honest. I'm just gonna call it what it is. Don't get me wrong, some of them are funny, but some of them I'm like, this is not, why are we doing this? Like we're not 16 in school passing notes and whatever. You know what? That brings me to one of the points I was actually going to make is that I feel like social media and Instagram kind of can keep you in a very juvenile way of thinking because everything is very heightened and everything is like one extreme to the other. So it keeps you in this very kind of moving from this side to that side of this extreme dramatic event that's happened, or this person's getting slated on Instagram, this person's getting cancelled on Twitter, this person's comment said this, and people are arguing in threads and comments. And it just keeps you in this very hysterical, heightened sense of just erratic behavior. And I'm not coming on this and recording this by any means to kind of come across like I'm some sort of, you know, what's the word? What's the word? A heaven sent? Or no, what's the one when people think they're better than holier than thou? I'm not trying to come across. This is genuinely just my experience and how I have interpreted the app. I also was finding that my actual real relationships weren't flourishing because I was spending a lot of time on social media. My real relationships were not flourishing. They were not prospering in the way that I wanted them to. And it was funny because I saw social media as a way to be able to quickly catch up with as many people as I could in a more effective and efficient way because you are on socials, you're all there. You can click on one person, type something to them, click on the next story, type something to them, message this person back who messaged you yesterday. It's just one hotspot of being able to catch everybody at one go. But the actual paradoxical thing about it is that it doesn't facilitate deep relationship, and it doesn't facilitate deep understanding of what a person maybe or maybe not going through just because of what they've posted on their story. They might post that they're at the gym, and then you think, wow, they're at the gym, they're so healthy, whatever. And then they maybe scoff down some custard creams or scoff down a Krispy Kreme donut the next day. You don't know. So I say all of that to say is that we just don't know what is going on behind the stories or the social media and the rest of it. And if I'm honest, I was tired of vying for attention on the app. I was tired of soliciting attention from, funnily enough, people that are already following me, which means you've probably met me in real life because my Instagrams are quite a small into Instagram. So you've probably met me in real life. Why am I advertising and myself to you when you've already made the decision to follow me, or we are already friends in real life? Why do I feel like I need to market myself and what I'm doing to you, whether it's gym or this and that? Now, the one thing I did enjoy about Instagram and was my primary use for it was like a digital diary. It was like a digital photo library. I could digitally keep my memories, my content, my daily happenings on an app. I could add music to it. I could edit it. I can, create. That was the part of Instagram that I really enjoyed creating, the story, adding this music to kind of build this feel into this particular shot or this particular scene and, kind of sequence this and be able to go back in the future, be able to look back in time and see, okay, what did I do on that holiday again? Because as much as you do take photos and as much as you do have photos on your camera roll, you don't look at your scroll through it like that. It was just a very nice way of being able to aesthetically view history. And that it was the primary way that I utilized Instagram. That's what it was for me. But slowly but surely, I started to find myself becoming less patient in real life. I started to find myself becoming more ambitious in real life. So, for example, I really went hard in the gym because a lot of people I was following, they were fitness people. So I would be seeing their results, they'll be throwing out tidbits of advice of what to do, and then I would copy. So I'll be like, yeah, it would drive me. I won't say that Instagram didn't have an element of driving me in an ambitious way in terms of, there are certain countries I would have never thought of going to. See it on Instagram, I'm going, or there's certain food places I wouldn't even consider or even know about. And then I see it on Instagram or TikTok and I decide, you know what, I'm gonna go. Or there are certain anything like there are certain ways of maybe starting a business or a particular way of creating something that anything. There was always this kind of this endless stream of whatever you wanted, and whatever it predicted to you that you wanted, you could get that information instantaneously. You could absorb the information in a quick tidbit, quick clip, and then you'd be off. Now, that wasn't a bad thing because, like I say, I became ambitious as a result of some of the content I was watching. It drove me, it inspired me to become better and to advance myself. However, the flip side of that is that I found myself maybe not being as content in my own reality because I was chasing the reality that I was trying to match up to or meet up to on Instagram, or chasing a reality that somebody else's perceived reality that they've shot and cleverly edited with a nice voiceover and with a nice motivational, inspirational quote and some good music to build a feeling within me that then makes me want to chase that perceived life that they may have when I don't know. Once the camera's cut off and once the cameras are closed and you're not posting anymore and the app is shut down, I don't know what their life looks like behind the scenes. It might be great, it might be fantastic, it might be even better than what they're showing on Instagram, or it could be worse. I don't know. But I was chasing this thing, chasing. And it was very, very subtle. It was very, very subtle. The thing about Instagram is that the effects that it was having on me and social media in general, it wasn't apparent to me immediately. It would kind of almost show itself in very subtle ways, like I say, disgruntlement with a current situation I may be in. It might be a relationship, it might be a housing situation, it could be a financial situation, it could be a physical health and uh body image situation. I found myself almost in with this slight disgruntlement, and this kind of, it would show itself there, but it was, again, the flip side is that it's motivating you and making you ambitious towards a particular goal, so you kind of suppress that dissatisfaction with more and more and more and more and more of the chasing. So you are just running along this stream, not even realizing that you're actually not satisfied with where you're at or where you're even walking towards. And you are probably adopting the goals of other people because of what you've seen rather than actually what you intrinsically want for yourself. And this was something that I had to come to the realization of. And it wasn't until I had some conversations with some family members. Don't worry, they weren't worried about me, like, oh my God, what's going on? But there was just certain conversations I was having, and I was like, you know what? I'm speaking in social media trope, or I'm observing this from the lens of having so much information in the background of my mind that it might be something that maybe a family member might be talking to me about something, and I just have this kind of lack of patience, or this wanting to answer them quickly because I want to get back to the screen and see what was more interesting on the screen. Do you know what I mean? It's this kind of, oh, I need to really, I need to really rush, I want them to finish what they're saying so I can get back to the more aspirational way of things. Because let's face it, real life is very slow. It can be very mundane. It can be very samey. It can be very flat. Whereas social media is constant peaks, troughs, and the troughs are the bad news and the tragedies that you see. Then the peaks are the aspirational, inspirational stuff, and the £50,000 a month and all of this, right? I'm not saying that any of that isn't possible. Yeah, it definitely is, but the peaks and troughs, that just social media has you more on a roller coaster of life. That's kind of like that. It's like that. Whereas actual life kind of more looks like that. It's just a more subtle curve, um, and a more subtle rhythm. And yeah, so I just decided to take off the app, and I feel a lot better for it. It's not been long, but I already start to see the effects. I've watched a couple of videos which have been hugely inspirational for me, videos on people who have left social media, and they're describing their benefits and how they've been able to level up their life in silence. And they're talking about all the benefits that they've got by being present in their own life. They feel like their thoughts are their own. I also feel like my thoughts are my own. I feel like I'm more satisfied because I'm aware of what's happening in and around me rather than trying to be pseudo aware of what's going on with someone who is abroad, or someone who's posted this today, but then yesterday they posted that, but then next week they're going to post this. And it's just too much. And the other thing about social media, which is really funny, is that a lot of the times we're presenting to other people our own experiences, right? So I'm on holiday in Bali. I want you to see I'm on holiday in Bali. Now, don't get me wrong. It's fun. It's cool. It's nice. I'm not gonna slate on Instagram. But even when it comes to things like weddings, if you were supposed to be at the wedding and you were supposed to see the bride and the groom dancing and you were supposed to see all the birthday celebrant or whoever it is, right, whatever event it is, if you were supposed to see it, you would have been invited. Yeah. It's almost as if we're live streaming, and it's almost like we've got personal CCTV cameras in our hand that we're just snapping, because people can snap you, people can record you without your consent. It's like, oh, what if that day you don't want anyone to know where you are? Oh, I saw you in the background of so and so's video. Oh, you was at that party too. Oh, you was at that event. Oh, right, boy, look lit there. Well, you went. Oh, you know them. Oh, you know, I know that. And of course, it can be fun to put links to things and to, show up in other people's videos and stuff. But when you really think about it, you don't know when you're snapping someone else, you don't know who's in their following, and you don't know who's observing you and watching you as a result of something that you were just a part of and you just happened to be in because you attended an event. You don't know. And I know we have, they have safety precaution measures and guidelines and community guidelines and all these sorts of things on social media. But I do just wonder, like, where has this come? What are the overall benefits of this thing? Everybody's vying for attention. Everybody is trying to be like everybody else because everybody's advertising that they are the best thing since sliced bread. And there was one thing that Cal Newport said, which really, really made me think is that when you remove social media, it allows you to reduce your level of self-importance because he was saying that the concepts and the idea that we have of social media is that as soon as we open up an app, people are just waiting to hear what we have to say. Just like me recording this podcast right now. I'm obviously anticipating that there are going to be people who are going to resonate and want to hear what I have to say. But alternatively, I could just record this because it's the last day of me being 30. I'm 31 tomorrow. And I might then just keep this as some of my thoughts on my last day at 30. I like to do these little momentous things. And maybe it's a situation of that. But we do have this preconceived idea that we have an audience who are just ready and waiting to see whatever we're up to next. And it kind of gives you this celebrity slash influencer type status, which I think can be very dangerous for the normal average human brain who hasn't been trained on how to handle this because you hear the greats talk about it. You hear about people like Justin Bieber, who said being on stage in front of millions of people singing your songs or thousands of people singing your songs, it's almost like it's like the highest form of dopamine or highest form of elation that the brain can get. And so it becomes very addictive. And one thing we do know about dopamine thresholds is that once you push them, in order to get the same level of satisfaction that you did from that initial push, you need to push further because your brain has already hit that ceiling, as it were. So it's broken through that ceiling and now needs to go even higher to get the same level of satisfaction as it did. Because to get back to that same initial push would be to it's almost like the law of diminishing returns when you're really craving something and you take that first bite, nothing kind of beats that first bite. That first bite is the all-encompassing yes, whereas every other subsequent bite is great, but it doesn't beat that first initial feeling. And so when we're talking about the law of diminishing returns and we're talking about dopamine thresholds, etc., I think that for so many of us, this can show up in the form of just arrogance. It can show up in the form of impatience. It can show up in the form of ignorance to other points of view. So we can be arrogant in the sense of, do you know who I am? I've got all these followers. Who do you think you're talking to? If you talk to me this way, then I'm just going to post on social media that you've done this and then you're going to be cancelled, etc. So it gives us this perceived but idea of power over other people. Two, can't remember what my second one was now. I said power. No, I said arrogance. I said impatience. Like I said, when I would be speaking to family members, and it's kind of like I'm trying to rush through what they're trying to say just so that I can move on to the next thing. Or maybe someone on TikTok has said something, and now I'm now looking at my family member or friend in the lens of what this person on TikTok said because I saw similar traits in what the person on TikTok said to what they said. It's just all of this sort of like stuff. And also in terms of the impatience, we actually I'll add this next point on the end, but then the third thing obviously I said is ignorance because social media is an echo chamber. So naturally we think that everybody is going to think the same as us because what social media spits back to us is what we like and what we enjoy. And it gives us more of what it knows that we're going to maintain viewership of, which is going to be the things we enjoy. So keep us it's going to keep us hooked on the app and just refeed us the things that it knows we're going to consume and enjoy because that's the aim for us to stay on the app for as long as possible. So when it comes to people living completely different lives to us or people having completely different points of view to us, which may in and of themselves be right and be okay and be just the way they live, we completely throw that out because and disregard other ways of living or other just debates, just health, the idea of healthy debate. Every debate that happens on social media ends up with these people calling out people out of their names and ad hominems, which is in critical thinking or debate culture. If you use an ad hominem, it's to call someone out for something personally relative to what they were actually saying. So you're not refuting their argument, you're refuting them for some personal defect that you perceive that they have. So yeah, anyway, it's just crazy. And then I think the fourth thing I was going to say was um the intrusive thoughts as well. It feels as though on social media, it very much feels as though we are privy to everybody's intrusive thoughts or privy to people's thoughts. And we were never given that gift. We were never given the gift to be able to know what people are thinking. Yet, because of comment culture, because of the fact that that kind of instant gratification, that instant reaction, quick reactions, quick this, quick that, because of that, we are now privy to people's thoughts. And some people's toxic thoughts get applauded in the form of likes, in the form of retweets, in the form of reshares, etc. So it makes people think that because they are getting that support and that like, that it is okay for them to believe what they believe or to express themselves in the way they're expressing themselves. When actually, if you take that mode of expression or that line of thinking outside of the app, it doesn't ring true, it doesn't hold weight. It can easily be refuted based on logic. But because of the heightened emotive environment that social media is, it gets the A-OK. So, yeah, those are a couple of my thoughts regarding social media. I was watching a video of someone talking about why they came off, and I just felt the need to, instead of consuming, let me record my own. I do want to see how long I can go without it. As I say, it's my birthday tomorrow. I'm going to be 31. Thank God. Very much grateful for a new year of life. Very much grateful for just to be alive. And I feel like my 30s, I feel like life is just beginning. I feel like my 30s are where I'm seeing myself become more confident in who I am and seeing myself really accept myself fully without trying to be like somebody else, which unfortunately social media had me trying to do. And being influenced and maintaining quote unquote relationship with people from the past when really we're not in relationship anymore, but we're all on the same app. So it kind of gives the illusion that we are. But yeah, I feel really confident. I feel really excited about my life. I almost wish I did come off social media all those years ago when I said that I would, because even people like Ed Sheeran, people like Stormzy, these are celebrities who have, quite a amount of quite a strong amount of notoriety and they have quite a strong amount of, fame and influence and money and all of the things that social media praises, yet they themselves found themselves coming off of the app. Ed Sheeran says he carries around, I think, like a Nokia phone, like an old, not smartphone, old Nokia phone. And Stormzy came off social media prior to the release of his last album, I believe, because he was like, he's coming on here and he feels like he's not the guy when he knows that he's the guy. And I'm one of those guys as well, where I know that I'm the guy. I've always been someone that people have been drawn to. I've always been a person who has had quite a broad social circle. But that being said, as I'm coming into my 30s and, now about to be 31, I just feel the need to really be myself and carve out who I am for me and attract the tribe of people that are reflective of who I am. And are an asset to who I am and I'm an asset to them and that kind of thing. I'm not looking for the social media fame, the fickleness of people's approval, which social media indirectly, whether you like it or not, it puts you in a place of looking for people's approval. As much as you can say, no, I use it for me, I use social media for me. I don't do it for anybody else. It's just for me. To a degree, I can accept that. And to a degree, I was doing that as well. And if you are using social media, using it for a purpose is very different. So using it for the purpose of promoting your business, promoting your podcast or something of that nature, then fine. But if you are just aimlessly using it and you're not there's no purpose behind what you're doing other than just to cure your boredom or to run away from a particular thing that, your real life may be confronting you with, then it's time to log off. Honestly, it's time to log off. And I do genuinely believe that I'm going to reclaim my life back and be back to being restored to the person that I've always been. I've always been, like I say, a personable person. I've always been someone who's, yeah, just enthusiastic, creative, joyous, like, and that's what was being taken away from me because of comparison and because of just the energy drain of my life force. As Cal Newport puts it, he says, look, if this thing is not deserving of your life force, anything that comes into your life needs to earn a right to take your life force. Does social media have the right to take your life force? Does it earn that place when it comes to the amount of life force you have and what you're willing to give over to it? Does social media give you that return back for what you are giving it? Question only you can ask. But alas, I'm glad I recorded this. Glad to get the thoughts out. Maybe I shall catch you in another video. Maybe I will keep doing these or yeah, let's see. Take care.